this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make a batch of plain biscuits and then how to ice them with a marbled effect using fondant icing. You can follow the recipe that's included in your workbook, or if you want to and know of a better recipe for biscuits, one that you've used before perhaps, you could use your own. This is quite a simple recipe. I'm going to show you step by step. First of all, you need to cream the butter, which means mixing the butter and the sugar together. The sugar granules help the butter to break down. Now my butter's quite cold, so it takes me a little while to do this. You might find that you have the same issue. If it's too hard and too cold, you might want to leave it standing at room temperature for a little while so that it softens up a little bit. I'm using the back of a wooden spoon and pushing the butter against the side of the bowl so that it mixes with the sugar granules and so that it breaks down more easily. What you're looking for is a light creamy texture like I'm showing here. You shouldn't be able to see any of the sugar granules once you're finished. It should be evenly mixed together. Once you've done that, you can then mix in the flour. And again, you want to evenly mix it together. You don't want any big lumps of sugary butter, and you don't want to be seeing piles of powdery flour. It needs to be mixed together so that you have a nice firm dough. Once you've got most of it combined like this, you can actually use your hands to combine it and make the dough, which is where it becomes even more important that you've followed the hygiene measures and washed your hands properly before you start cooking. You might find that your arm starts to ache when you're doing these tasks, but you can always take a little break and come back to it. As you can see now, I'm pushing the dough together with my hands, so I'm picking up all the crumbs and combining it together so that it sticks together into one ball of dough. Once you've done that, you're ready to actually make your biscuits. You're going to start off by flouring or greasing a baking tray, and then you want to divide the mixture into equal amounts. Now my way of doing this is to divide the mixture in half and keep dividing those halves into halves again until I get a walnut-sized piece of dough. And then I use the bottom of a bowl or a mug to flatten them out onto my baking tray. You might need to put a bit of flour on the back of the bowl or onto the dough so that it doesn't stick. Another top tip is making sure that your biscuits are evenly spaced out so that they don't stick together whilst they're cooking. I'm actually spreading my dough over 2 baking trays. Once they're cooked, you want to place them onto a wire rack so they cool down and don't continue cooking on the baking tray. And then you're ready to start decorating them. We're going to be using fondant icing, and I'm going to be adding in some colour to these. I'm going to show you the marbling technique. So I'm using another piece of fondant icing. I'm going to use a little bit of red in mine. And it's always good when you're trying to get a marbling technique to use 2 quite contrasting colours. If the colours are too similar, they're not going to make a very noticeable marbling effect. And all you're going to do is just mush the 2 pieces of fondant together like this. Now you don't actually want to over mix this. If you carry on mixing this, what you'll end up with is a solid colour, and in this case it will be pink. Once you've mixed it a little bit, then you want to roll it out, and you can see straight away you're getting a lovely tonal effect in the icing. You can see that marbled effect, so the pink and red and white all running together. Once you're happy with how you've rolled it out and you're sure that the icing is the same thickness all the way around, so you haven't got a really thin piece and a really thick piece, you can then use a cookie cutter or a scone cutter to cut out discs and place these on top of your biscuits. It really is as simple as that. So why don't you give it a go next?